Hi guys, it's Arielle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are all doing well. In today's video, I want to talk about 5 date night or girls night or just general activities that you can do in Paris in the winter months. And I thought it would be good to make this video because there's such a difference between Paris in the summer and Paris in the winter, because in the summer, the weather is hot, it's sunny, everybody's in a good mood. There's so many things to do outside and indoors, and the sun is out for like 12 hours, so you really feel like you can do it all. And then the winter hits and it's cold and it's dark and the sun sets at like 4 p.m. and it's hard to find the motivation to get out of the house and do things. At least that's how I feel. So I thought if I went around and I tested a bunch of activities and showed you guys what they look like, maybe it would give you some ideas for what you can do if you visit Paris in the winter, or even just inspire you, give you the motivation to leave your house if you're living in Paris more long term and you're here for the winter and you're struggling to find things to do. I did all of these with Jean. I kind of dragged him around the city with me, but like I said, these are both date night, girls night, family activities that I think you could do. And I'll start with the very first one that was Jean's favorite, which is pottery painting. We did this at a pottery atelier called Céramicafé Geneviève, and they have one in the 11th, the 14th, and the 17th arrondissement of Paris. And what I really liked about the Céramicafé Geneviève, I'll put on the screen so you can actually have the name, but they have a brunch pottery painting session, but we did the apéro pottery painting session, which is, I think it's at 7 p.m. So after work in the evening, very, very girls night, very date night. And you kind of have no idea what you're expecting when you go anywhere that says activity plus apéro, because the apéro could be really kind of trash, but it was so good at this atelier. First and foremost, you walk in, everyone is so friendly, and they have a huge selection of pottery that you can choose from, like ceramic pieces that you can paint, and you can always upgrade if you want to pick a bigger item. I think it was 10 or 20 euros to upgrade, but I ended up picking a mug. Jean picked these little egg cups, and we sat down and we had our own little table away from everyone. It was very calm. It was very, you had your own space, you had your own, it wasn't chaotic, I think is what I'm trying to say, and you have like a full 3 hours to paint. So as soon as we sat down, they came, they took our drink order, because you had a drink included in the activity. And while we're waiting for all of the other groups to come, because it is like a certain amount of people that can fit in the pottery shop and everyone starts and ends at the same time. So yeah, we're waiting, and they brought us our apéro to go with our pottery painting session. And this is what I'm saying, is it was actually so good. It was surprisingly good for this just being a pottery shop that also has an apéro. But yeah, it was charcuterie, cheese, olives, pickles, bread, butter, and I had wine. Jean had a cider. And then the way that they have their pottery painting sessions, like the way it works, is also really cool, because before you start, instead of just being like, here's your pottery, here's your paint, do your thing, they come around and explain to you, I think it was 9 or 10 different techniques for painting, and you have all these supplies on the table. You have brushes, paint, sponges, pencils, tape. You just have everything possible, and they really explain all these different ways of creating cool effects and different designs. So I really enjoyed it. It wasn't just a pottery painting. Like, I've done other pottery painting sessions where you just walk in and you just paint. It's like a therapeutic, relaxing thing, and this was nice. Like, it was very calm and it was relaxing, but it was nice that it was so professionally done in terms of food and also in terms of instruction. So Jean and I had a really good time, and I liked that it was 3 hours, because you'd think that's a really long time, but when you get really into designing what you want and painting and everything, you take the full 3 hours. I was panicking by 2 hours and 45 minutes. I was stressed, like getting my last coat on there, and I'll put a picture of what our mug and our egg cups turned out. They're just, I don't know, it was just really fun, and it's nice to hand make something, and it's nice to do that kind of activity with a partner or friend. So that was the first date. I cannot recommend Céramicafé Geneviève enough. It really was such a good winter apéro date night idea. Number 2, I'll go with maybe my favorite, which was an evening tour of the Palais Garnier and then dinner afterwards. So the Palais Garnier is like the Paris Opera. It's downtown. It's like almost at the center of Paris, and they offer tours throughout the day, throughout the year. You can really just take any tour. But what's special about the evening tours is that there's limited spaces and they happen after the opéra closes. So when you take a daytime tour, you are there with not just several other tour groups, but you're also there with all of the people who are visiting the Palais Garnier. So it's very chaotic. It's very overwhelming. There is people just everywhere. And I think when you go to the Palais Garnier, the inside is so beautiful. Your first thought is, wow, like I really want to have a nice picture here. And it's impossible to do during the day because there are, I don't know, thousands of people running around. So that was kind of a perk of doing the evening tour. I'll give you the name of it because it is called something specific. It's called Les Mystères du Palais Garnier, which is the mysteries of the Palais Garnier. And I'll link it down below how you can book this tour. I think it was about 25 euros per person. But yeah, so that was the first great thing I can say about this tour is that it happens after hours. So you really do feel like you have this kind of secret special experience in one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Paris. And of course the tour was really good as well. You can tell that these tour guides are very passionate about the Palais Garnier and the history and all the secrets. I've done two tours. I did the daytime and the evening tour, and both times my tour guide was really fantastic. Another cool thing too is that while we were there doing the tour after hours, they were actually rehearsing an opera, and we got to see the principal dancer, which was nice, and they took us around. We saw the stage, we saw the costumes, we saw the palais. And then what was very different about the evening tour compared to the daytime tour is that they actually took us to the Phantom of the Opera suite in the evening tour, which was spooky, and it was fun to hear about the history and the story behind that. And also the evening tours are about 15 to 30 minutes longer than the daytime tours, which I guess is why they're a little bit more expensive. But yeah, the tour honestly was amazing. Not only do you learn so much about the Palais Garnier and all these secrets, not just to the architecture and how it was built and everything, but also to, I don't know, its relevance to the people at the time when it was first built. And yeah, like I really did enjoy the tour of the Phantom of the Opera suite. I thought it was very cool. And then after the tour of the Palais Garnier, you're really in the heart of Paris. There's so many amazing restaurants that you can try. Jean and I went to a vegetarian / vegan restaurant. I'll give you the name because it's so good. I cannot recommend this restaurant enough. It's called the Cantine de Lotus, and it's like a 5-minute walk from the Palais Garnier. It's just a cute little charming vegetarian vegan restaurant, very popular. So I actually really like that because the tour happens at 5 p.m. right when the Palais Garnier closes, and so you end up finishing the tour around 6:30. You're out of there by 6:45, and then you can go right away to the Cantine de Lotus, which I think opens at 6:30, so you don't have to wait in a line or anything. You're right there. You get in first to the restaurant. So yeah, that was another really good date that we did. And again, that's something great to do with your girlfriends, with a partner, or even with your family. I think if you're visiting Paris and you're really interested in hearing more about the history of the buildings and learning more about, yeah, Paris maybe 200 years ago, I thought that was really cool. It was a very, very interesting way. Even me, I've lived here for like 5 years and I learned so much. Okay, the next date is a date that actually Jean planned for us. He bought us tickets to a theater show called Les femmes ont toujours raison, which in English is Women Are Always Right, which I think is a great title. And it was at the theater called Le Passage vers les Étoiles, which is in the 11th arrondissement, and he bought the tickets on a website called L'Officiel des Spectacles, which I'll link down below as well. Now this is definitely a date night or an activity that you should do if you are bilingual, if you speak French. Most shows in Paris, most of the theater, most of the comedy shows, all of that, it is largely done in French, and obviously there's no subtitles because it's a live performance. So I definitely recommend this if you have a comfortable level of French. I wouldn't say you need like advanced or anything, but you definitely need to know a little French to understand. And it was a 2-man show, which doesn't come across as something that could be very entertaining, but it was so funny. It was very interactive with the audience, and I don't know, it was very cool. And the thing is, you don't have to be a couple to go to this. That's why I say all these dates are good for like girlfriends as well, a little girls' night out, because the humor that that they used was about being single, but also about being a couple, and it was just a very entertaining show. And it was jam-packed. Honestly, it was sold out, so, you know, if that doesn't speak for itself. And then a 20-minute walk away from this theater in particular, we have a Korean barbecue restaurant that we really like. I'll give you the name. It's called Ossek Garden. Kind of nostalgic. I think that was one of my first dates with Jean in Paris, because I don't know, I've always wanted to try Korean barbecue, but it's kind of daunting if you've never done it before, because you have to cook your own food. So if you have no idea what you're doing, it's like, gives me anxiety. But it's really great because you order, there's fish, there's meat, and then on top of it, you have all these little dishes, like, I don't know, all these different Korean apps that go along with the meat that you're cooking, and sauces and soups and everything. So yeah, really good restaurant. It was only a 20-minute walk away from the theater. Now, you don't necessarily have to go to this theater. Like I said, I'll link the website down below. There are, my goodness, probably thousands of theaters all over the city of Paris. So take a look at the show, see what you like, but I really did enjoy this show in particular, and it was in a really good neighborhood as well. It's in a very trendy neighborhood. It's near Oberkampf, which is a very trendy neighborhood for locals. Okay, next up we have more of a daytime, more of a weekend date, because you really have to look up the hours for when it's open, because this date or this activity is visiting the Puces de Saint-Ouen. And this, I would describe the Puces de Saint-Ouen as a luxurious flea market, I want to say, because it's definitely a flea market in the sense that you have thousands of stalls spread over this huge area in the north of Paris, but what they're selling for the most part is antiques, high value antiques. I'm talking chandeliers the size of an SUV. I'm talking designer jewelry, paintings, art, sculptures, and they have a really good mix at the Puces de Saint-Ouen because they do have a lot of more modern art. I would say, like, there's definitely new pieces of furniture, new pieces of art, but there are also a good amount of stalls that sell old French antiques. And what I really like about the Puces de Saint-Ouen is, I actually got a comment in one of my videos that I'm really glamorizing a flea market, but the thing is that when you're not European, when you're not French, and you go to anything like a flea market, a garage sale, the Puces de Saint-Ouen, you really do feel like you're stepping back in time for the culture of where you're visiting. So in this case, it's a French flea market, so you're really stepping back in time, and you get to see furniture and appliances and art and just everything from way, way long ago. It was really cool. We saw a stall that had like guns from World War II or war medals, or what was another cool stall? Oh my gosh, the chandeliers, those are crazy. The chandeliers are so stunning. It's unlike something you've ever seen in North America. The furniture as well. There was a lot of furniture that seemed like it was from, I don't know, like royal households, noble households way back when. But yeah, it really is just like stepping back in time and seeing a piece of French history. Another cool thing that Jean and I did as well is, for my engagement ring, we want to get something that is antique and unique and has a story to it. So we thought as well that we'd look at the jewelry stores and, you know, keep an eye out for vintage rings, and that was really fun as well. Even to see jewelry from another culture and another time is very fun. I will say the Puces de Saint-Ouen is a little bit pricey because it has become somewhat of a tourist attraction. They've definitely increased their prices. So I like to go there more to walk around and see cool things than to buy furniture or art for my home. I would say you can definitely find similar items to what they sell on places like Le Bon Coin, which is the secondhand, it's like a Kijiji kind of website, or on Vinted for clothes and stuff. So yeah, I don't go there to buy things, I go there to look at things, and for that I really think it's cool as well. Once you get to the Puces de Saint-Ouen, you're very much in the north of Paris, but you can walk down maybe 20-25 minutes and you get to the more residential part of the 18th. So after you're done at the Puces, you can go for a coffee or lunch or a meal, and you can do it in an area that's trendy and chic and charming, but that's also outside of the chaos and the heavily touristic areas of Paris. I can recommend a couple places for you. You have the Recyclerie, which is really close to the Puces de Saint-Ouen. It's kind of like a community-focused coffee shop that's also very focused on the environment. So you have, of course, a coffee shop and a restaurant, but you also have workshops and events and a garden and a plant store. It is like this all-in-one cafe, which is a really popular place for locals. I also really like Marcel in the 18th, which I'm not gonna say is the best food I've ever had in my life in Paris, but the food is good. The neighborhood is so beautiful. This is what I'm talking about, like very residential, very charming neighborhoods. And the restaurant itself is a subtle, muted, chic aesthetic, which I really like. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't have to go there with a restaurant or cafe in mind. As soon as you walk down into the 18th, every single street you come across will have a coffee shop or a bistro or a restaurant. And Jean and I literally just walked into a bar that looked cozy and had a hot chocolate. So it's definitely not something that you need to plan for, and it's kind of nice as well to stumble on hidden gems while you're in that area. But yeah, honestly, a really good activity or date night for the weekend or the daytime in the winter. It's also nice because in the winter it's definitely gonna be a lot less busy, and because the Puces de Saint-Ouen is open air, you're not gonna be under the beating sun of the summer. Now, the last date night activity that I have for you guys is gonna come across as basic because the first part of this date is the Eiffel Tower, which I know you're like, Arielle, this is not creative, but I don't know, I don't think a lot of people know that you can climb the Eiffel Tower for a reasonable price. You can climb to the second level of the Eiffel Tower for 13 euros, and I feel like it's not something that everybody does. For example, Jean had never gone up the Eiffel Tower. I had gone a couple times, but yeah, if you've never been and you live in Paris or you moved to Paris, I definitely recommend that you do this. And if you've gone up by the elevator, I would also recommend going up and walking, because that in itself is a really cool experience. And it's nice to go in the winter at night as well because, I don't know, you have this sort of bird's eye view of Paris with all the lights and everything. It's very charming, and on top of that, we went when it had just snowed, and so it was so beautiful to see the Champ de Mars with the snow on the ground and the Parisian old buildings. It was really nice. And then the other half of this date, which, I don't know, tell me down below if you've done this before, but something that I avoided were the restaurants in the Eiffel Tower because they just are so overpriced. But then one day I was like, let's just go in. Let me just see what it's like. And I went into what they call the Bulle de Paris. And it's this, I feel like I'm using the word charming all the time, but it is charming. It's this see-through kind of igloo style, inflatable, see-through cafe. And you can walk in and there's all these cute little seating areas. They're like faux fur, blankets, very, very chic. It's very chic. And you have snacks, and get pretzels, chips, bakery items as well. You can get coffee, wine, champagne. And what I like about this is that you are at the top, no, you're at the first level of the Eiffel Tower. You're in this really amazing place. You have this amazing view. The Bulle is chic and fun, and it's very affordable. My hot chocolate was 4 euros, my glass of wine was 6 euros. So it's just a fun and affordable way to enjoy the experience of going up the Eiffel Tower. Now, we didn't get to go into the Bulle Parisienne when we went up the Eiffel Tower, which I don't know why. I sent them an email, and if they answer, I will leave it down below in the description of this video. But normally the Bulle Parisienne is open from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. But for some reason, they still had their Christmas market display set up, which I think closes a lot earlier on in the day, because we climbed the Eiffel Tower at, I want to say 9 p.m. because we wanted to be there for when the lights flash, like they sparkle and stuff. And so the Christmas market was closed, and because there was the Christmas market, there wasn't the Bulle Parisienne. So I'll let you know what they say down below, because if you go on their website, it says the Bulle Parisienne is open until 11 p.m. But it should be open soon. I will put the date down below when they answer. But yeah, both things combined. Walking up the Eiffel Tower, seeing the view, and enjoying a glass of wine at the top of the Eiffel Tower just really is kind of a quintessential Parisian experience, I feel like, if you've never done it. But yeah, there we go. Those are my 5 activity and date night ideas for you guys in the winter when you're here in Paris. Let me know if you guys have done any of them down below. Let me know what you think, and also let me know how it goes if you do try them out. I would love to know if you enjoyed them, and if you have any other ideas for me for other activities to motivate me to get me out of the house, I would love to hear them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.